Why does each moment feel fleeting, yet meaningful enough to shape an entire life? This question exposes a paradox at the center of human experience. On the surface, moments appear brief and replaceable. They pass quickly, dissolve into memory, and are immediately overtaken by what comes next. Modern thinking often treats them as isolated units, temporary events with no inherent continuity. Yet this assumption collapses under closer inspection. A single experience can permanently alter identity, worldview, or behavior. Brief encounters can leave psychological imprints that last decades. If moments are truly shallow and disconnected, their lasting influence becomes difficult to explain. This contradiction points toward a deeper structure. Moments appear shallow only when depth is overlooked. Ibn Arabi offers a precise formulation of this idea. He argues that every moment is carried by an underlying depth of being, not by time alone. What sustains experience is not duration or sequence, but continuity at a deeper ontological and cognitive level. This depth is not emotional intensity. It is the structure that allows any experience to matter at all. From a psychological perspective, modern life is characterized by fragmentation. Attention is divided across tasks, platforms, and timelines. This leads to a persistent dissatisfaction with the present moment and a sense that life is continuously slipping away. Many individuals report difficulty experiencing continuity in their sense of self. Several cognitive mechanisms contribute to this condition. Attention fragmentation reduces experiential coherence by preventing sustained engagement. Temporal discounting causes individuals to undervalue present depth in favor of future outcomes or past regrets. Stress reactivity shifts cognitive resources toward rapid evaluation and away from integrative processing. These mechanisms produce recognizable symptoms. People live moment to moment without integration, experiencing life as a series of disconnected episodes. There is a common feeling that time is accelerating and meaning is thinning. Ordinary experiences, routine work, daily interactions, repetitive tasks are perceived as empty or insignificant. Neurologically, this pattern is associated with prefrontal overload. When executive systems are constantly engaged, depth processing capacities decline. The core limitation is clear. The mind processes moments as discrete units, while reality itself is continuous. What is needed is a framework that explains how depth sustains moments beneath surface change. Ibn Arabi approached this problem at the level of being itself. He was not primarily concerned with escaping time or dismissing ordinary experience. Instead, he examined how reality sustains appearance and how continuity underlies change. His work can be understood as an ontology of depth. A common misconception is that Ibn Arabi encourages withdrawal from the world or devalues everyday life. In fact, he insists that ordinary moments are fully real precisely because they are expressions of a deeper continuity. His core principle is that existence is continuous, while moments are expressions of that continuity rather than fragments of it. His key claim follows directly. What carries a moment is not its duration, but the depth of being that supports it. Historically, this anticipates ideas found in process philosophy and systems thinking, where reality is treated as an ongoing field rather than a sequence of discrete events. This perspective aligns closely with phenomenology and modern continuity models in cognitive science, which emphasize background awareness and integrative processes as the foundation of experience. One of Ibn Arabi's most important distinctions is between sequence and depth. Reality, in his view, is not a chain of moments linked together by time. It is a continuous field in which moments arise as expressions. Time marks change, but depth sustains presence. In cognitive terms, this distinction parallels the continuity of consciousness. Despite constant changes in thought, perception, and emotion, there is a stable background awareness that persists. This ongoing awareness is not experienced as a separate object, but it allows experience to remain coherent. A simple example illustrates this. Personal identity remains recognizable across decades, even though beliefs, preferences, and emotional patterns change repeatedly. If identity were merely a sequence of mental states, continuity would be impossible. Ibn Arabi's insight is that moments feel empty when depth is ignored. When experience is reduced to surface change, meaning evaporates. Each moment draws significance from an underlying continuity that is already present, regardless of how brief the moment appears. Ibn Arabi explains this continuity through the concept of tajalli, or continuous disclosure. Analytically, tajalli refers to the idea that reality reveals itself anew in every moment. Each moment is not a repetition of the previous one, but a fresh expression of the same underlying depth. This explains why moments can feel repetitive while still being meaningful. The depth remains constant, while form varies. In systems theory, this resembles dynamic systems with stable underlying structures that generate changing outputs. A psychological example clarifies this point. Emotional states fluctuate throughout the day: calm, irritation, focus, fatigue, yet core awareness remains stable. The variation occurs at the surface level, not at the level of being. A common misconception is that meaning requires novelty. Ibn Arabi rejects this assumption. Novelty is not required for significance. Meaning arises from continuity, not stimulation. Each moment carries depth because it is a new disclosure of an already present reality. Tajalli explains how freshness and continuity coexist without contradiction. To account for how depth is perceived, Ibn Arabi introduces the concept of the heart. In his framework, the heart is not an emotional center. It is a faculty of depth perception capable of integrating experience without breaking it into sequences. The intellect, by contrast, operates sequentially. It analyzes, compares, and orders events in time. The heart integrates, allowing continuity to be perceived directly. From a neuroscientific perspective, this resembles integrative awareness and whole system processing rather than localized analytic functions. An everyday example illustrates this difference. Sometimes a situation is immediately recognized as significant without deliberate reasoning. The recognition is not emotional in a narrow sense, nor is it analytical. It is integrative. The key insight here is that depth is perceived, not constructed. It does not arise from intellectual effort alone. The heart, in Ibn Arabi's sense, is the faculty that allows continuity to be registered beneath changing content. Ibn Arabi further refines this model through the concept of barzakh. Ontologically, barzakh refers to the interface between changing moments and unchanging depth. It is not a separate realm, but a relational threshold. In cognitive science, this resembles temporal integration, the process by which experiences are bound across time into coherent narratives. Memory plays a central role here. Memory does not merely store past events. It connects past, present, and anticipated future into a unified experiential field. For example, a current experience is often shaped by memory and expectation simultaneously. Meaning emerges not from the moment alone, but from its position within a continuous field. The insight is that meaning arises where continuity meets change. Balzac explains how moments can be both transient and deeply connected. Without this interface, experience would fragment into unrelated events with no enduring significance. If depth is always present, why is it so rarely noticed? Ibn Arabi's explanation is straightforward. Attention is drawn to surface change rather than underlying continuity. Novelty captures awareness more easily than stability. Psychologically, this reflects salience bias, the tendency to focus on what stands out rather than what sustains. Modern environments amplify this bias by continuously presenting new stimuli. A critical misconception must be addressed. Depth is often confused with intensity. Intense experiences feel meaningful because they disrupt routine, but intensity fluctuates rapidly. Depth remains stable. The key distinction is this: intensity rises and falls, while depth persists. Depth is overlooked precisely because it does not demand attention. Its stability makes it easy to ignore, even though it is what carries experience from one moment to the next. Applied practically, Ibn Arabi's framework suggests several cognitive shifts. One is reducing compulsive time tracking, the habit of measuring life primarily in terms of speed, productivity, or novelty. Another is attending to continuity rather than stimulation. From a neuroscientific perspective, this shift improves attentional coherence and reduces stress reactivity. When attention stabilizes, integrative processing becomes more accessible. These principles apply directly to work routines, relationships, and existential dissatisfaction. For example, routine tasks often feel empty because they are evaluated only for novelty or outcome. When approached as expressions of continuity rather than interruptions, their experiential quality changes. Engaging ordinary activities without seeking stimulation allows depth to become perceptible. The result is greater psychological stability and a renewed sense of meaning that does not depend on extraordinary experiences. The central insight of this lecture is simple but far-reaching. No moment exists in isolation. What carries experience is not time, but depth. Each moment is sustained by an underlying continuity of being. Reframed this way, the title becomes precise rather than metaphorical. Depth is what carries every moment. Whether or not it is noticed, meaning is not produced. Moment by moment, it is sustained by continuity. Ibn Arabi offers a model in which ordinary moments regain significance. Without requiring emotional intensity or constant novelty,